Hello, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Sciences. My name is Wes Swenson, and I'm excited to be here with all of you. I've taught a variety of different courses, including microbiology, genetics, and so on, but this is probably the funnest science course that I teach. And I'm sure there's going to be a few bumps along the way as we navigate this course with you. And if you find any issues or there's any confusion or you spot any issues or errors, please let me know. But I think we are going to be able to cover a lot of really interesting topics. First, a little bit more about myself. That's me in the middle. I'm the overly ecstatic student researcher. I once studied the algal food pyramids in the Arctic, Alaska. But my research mainly focuses on bioproduct production in cyanobacteria, which are kind of small versions of algae that can be used to generate medicines, cosmetics, and fuels, things like that. Here's my family, my loving wife with our daughter, and me, the loving cat father as well of many cats. I also have a goat, a couple of dogs, a handful of chickens, and maybe a couple other pets I'm not including as well there. Um, so let's go ahead and dive in then and talk about what environmental science is. So we'll begin by that fundamental question of what this course covers. So, what is environmental science? Environmental science is the study of the interactions between living and non living things in the environment. It examines the processes, cycles, and patterns that occur in nature involving both the biotic or living or non biotic or abiotic elements. This field is dynamic because our understanding of these processes is continually evolving, leading to constant advancements in the discipline. And moreover, environmental science is interdisciplinary, meaning that it's integrating aspects from various fields such as biology, chemistry, geology, climatology, and much more. It not only examines living things and non living entities separately, but also focuses on their interactions. A crucial aspect of environmental science is the impact humans have on the environment, a topic that will be explored in depth throughout this course. Here is a little bit of course information for you. That is my name and email address. However, if you have any questions, please be sure that you reach out to me through Blackboard, which is the sanctioned communication pipeline between an instructor and students. This course is an online course. It's worth 4 credit hours. I do hold regular office hours on the Maricopa campus. My office hours are my office is B118G. And if you pull up to the buildings, there's a few of them. That's the middle building that you will find there. And I also have virtual office hours. They are held through Blackboard Collaborate. If you log into the portal there, you will see your Blackboard Collaborate on the left-hand side of the course. In order to meet with me virtually, I do hold appointments on Monday. They are by appointment only, and you will need to schedule them 24 hours in advance. They will just automatically close as that 24 hours lapses. So if you try and log in, let's say, since I have the appointments on Monday, let's say you want a 9 a.m. slot and you log in Sunday at 10 a.m. to Calendly, you will not find a 9 a.m. slot available. You will find a 10 a.m. slot, but not any earlier. And yes, if you want to sign up there, you can use that address there, or you can open up the syllabus and this hyperlink is there, or even under the Start Here module, you will find a link to go schedule some office hours. And I strongly recommend it if there's anything that you're kind of hung up on. This course is primarily offered online. You can access your lectures, materials, and assignments through Blackboard. There are still due dates for assignments. This is to ensure that students stay on track and complete their coursework in a timely manner. Online, you will have to use Blackboard. There will be a textbook that's linked through your Blackboard course module. The textbook is um, uh, um, sponsored through Soft Chalk, although it's not written by them. That's where it's located. And so we'll often refer to Soft Chalk questions or things like that. That just means that your questions are over there on their website, linked through Blackboard. And yes, assignments still have due dates. All of the exams will be taken through ProctorU, which is an online exam taking service that CAC now offers students in science. We'll talk more about that later. And although it is online, the course does include a field trip and, in addition, a field soil collection, which is a great opportunity for students to get out of the virtual classroom and engage in a hands-on learning experience. The field trip allows students to apply what they've learned in a real-world setting, making the course both engaging and practical. Blackboard is your school's learning management system where you can access course materials, assignments, and grades. Your CAC email is your official email found for communications, where you will get alerts or for messages and announcements from Blackboard. However, again, it's a policy of the college that all day-to-day communication with me happens through Blackboard messaging. Additionally, I just get a ton of emails every day from colleagues, administration, and publishers trying to sell me products. And so I may even overlook an email from a student if it goes to my regular email there. So I do check my Blackboard every day practically. And so it's probably more efficient at getting a hold of me if you communicate through there. You will need to be able to use Microsoft Office, such as Word for worksheets and reports. And for presentations, we will be using PowerPoint for something called your Micro Teach, which is a collaborative uh, assignment that you'll do with other students. And there are cloud versions of all of these programs available to all of CAC students. Again, SoftChalk is the e-learning authoring tool that contains the textbook for this course. It will be the location of the textbook and reading questions that will be due each week embedded in the textbook. So we'll have more on SoftChalk again later on. You are required to have a webcam for virtual office hours. So make sure you're using a computer where you can turn on your webcam so that we can interact face-to-face there. And for some of the labs, because we don't have any lab fees associated with the class, there's no lab kits or costs there. There are some very basic materials that you will have to provide. They're usually at-home materials, and they're commonly found in stores. So maybe like a pair of scissors, some tape, water bottles, maybe a trowel or something to go digging with, measuring cups, things like that that you should have at home. But we'll dig into that, no pun intended, when we get into the soil sampling lab that comes in a few weeks here. And you'll need your own transportation in order to conduct your own field trip and the soil sample collection. Here is a point breakdown of the class. So we will have, to begin in this course, we'll have an introduction discussion board that everyone needs to participate in, and a syllabus quiz that you need to take. It's required. I don't care when you get it in, as long as it's in on time. But it will be due by this Friday of the first week. And a field trip, which is going to be due much later in the semester. You do not need to be worrying about that right now. It will come towards the end of the semester. You will have 3 exams, and each one of those exams is going to be worth 150 points. So that's a big one, equaling a total of 450 points in this class. Those exams we'll discuss more in a moment here. There will be 12 at-home lab activities worth 20 points each. So that's also a major portion of your grade. The soft chalk textbook reading questions, 12 of them, one for each chapter. And weekly assignments. We'll talk about more in the next few slides. Here's the portion of the syllabus. The syllabus has two sets of schedules, one for the lecture and one for the lab. This one here is part of the lecture schedule. The table design has column 1 designating the week you should begin working on the topics that are listed in table 2. Then column 3 states which assignments are also coming due that week and the due date on the last column. And that due date is usually on a Tuesday, except for the very first week in which you will have assignments due that Friday. So August 23rd there, you'll have all of the assignments due listed, the syllabus guided reading. That's your syllabus quiz. There's a student questionnaire, the discussion board, introduction, and then a weekly assignment 1 discussion board. So yeah, that's what we wanted to cover there. So just to clarify again that because I think it's a little confusing, the topic column is related to the week column. So that tells you that week what you're supposed to start working on. And I don't expect students to come in on, let's say, Monday, which is week 2 here, August 26th, read that entire chapter, and then submit the chapter quiz the next day. So what you're going to find is chapter 2 is going to be due the following week on the 3rd. So that gives you August 26th, which is a Monday, gives you all of next week plus until Tuesday. So 8 days to do all of your reading, studying, and then submit your weekly 3 assignment, if there's a weekly 3 assignment, or your chapter 2 assignment, anything that's associated with chapter 2. You'll find it's due on the following week. So that gives you a lot of time to work on things. What it also does is, because virtual office hours are on a Monday, it gives you plenty of time to schedule an appointment with me and go over any questions you have before you have to submit that assignment. Here's a snippet for the lab schedule as well. From the second column, you can see we'll cover an array of topics, and often these topics will come with a video or an announcement to explain what to do or know in order to be successful in each lab. One last note I will make is that I don't always have these materials published before the start date, listed in column 1. Sometimes it needs some reworking. This is the second year I've been teaching ENV at CAC, but you should expect any of the labs to be posted on the day for that topic. So analyzing scientific data should absolutely be up by August 26th. Please reach out to me if you do not see something up that should be up. That's probably an error on Blackboard. Okay, so let's talk more about the exams. There are 3 exams. They're going to include a variety of multiple choice questions, matching questions, and open-ended questions. They are timed. You'll have 60 minutes to complete the entire exam in a single sitting. So there's no bathroom breaks allowed. If you get up and walk away from your computer and your webcam, it is considered a complete exam at that point. Exams are a closed note and closed book. So whatever you have memorized is what you have available to you and your own intuition. You'll be taking those exams on Blackboard using ProctorU. Instructions are online for that. It requires the installation of Guardian Browser. Also, instructions online. The exams cost money, $6 each. There's 3 of them, so we're looking at $18 for the whole semester. If that's something you not prefer to do, you can take it at the testing center. Appointments are available around the clock, but you must schedule them through ProctorU. They have a requirement 72 hours in advance in order to avoid additional fees. If preferred, like I said, you don't have to go through ProctorU. You can take them in person at one of the CAC on-campus testing centers. However, I have to set that up with the testing center, and therefore I require a 1 week advance notice to put it in the request of the testing center. If it's less than 1 week, for every day week, I just consider that the same as taking an exam late. So that's a 10% penalty per day. So make sure if something comes up, or you decide, the ProctorU is not for you, that you just let me know right away. Open communication is the best way to be successful here. I understand a lot of students who are taking online courses. They have very busy schedules. They might be stay-at-home parents. They might have full-time jobs. Sometimes a couple of jobs. Hey, I've been there as an undergraduate student as well, so I know what that's like. Therefore, I'm giving a 3-day window to complete each exam. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is when the exams will be open to be taken. Also, I don't do cumulative exams. So each exam covers the unit that it's in, Unit 1, Unit 2, or Unit 3. There's 12 lab activities. Each lab activity is going to be worth 20 points. Like I've said, some portion will be done at home, and sometimes it might require you going out into the field. Not that much, though, only a couple of times will that be necessary. And because you're doing it at home, there's no lab fee. Some of those materials will be required to be provided by you. The soft chalk questions. So as you're reading the textbook, link in Blackboard for each unit, you'll notice that there are integrated questions along the way. And those are considered your guided reading questions. So there's 12 chapters, there's 12 checkpoint questions worth 10 point each, or batches of questions. And so the total there is going to be worth 120 points of your grade. Make sure after you've answered all of the questions, you read the entire chapter, because at the very end, it'll ask you to click submit for that chapter. And if you don't click submit, it won't submit your answers, even though you might have answered 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. You have to make sure you click submit there at the very end. All right, and then on top of those weekly guided readings, there's going to be some other catch-all weekly assignment or weekly activity. So this is anything other than your lab assignments and other than your weekly readings. There's something else I'm going to have there for you. This first week, it's going to be a discussion board. You're going to do a little micro-teach presentation with other students in your class, and that's going to be a weekly activity as well. A lot of them are going to just be quizzes on the chapter material as well. So that's going to be a kind of a hodgepodge of all different sorts of activities. You only have to worry about one of them a week. So we've got, from the lecture, we have one weekly activity and one weekly reading questions that are guided reading questions. The field trip is worth 40 points. So it's roughly 2 labs. So think about the time investment you have there. Should be worth basically doing 2 labs, sometimes a little bit more, depending on where you go for your field trip and how much time you spend there. You're going to choose your travel destination. It's got to be related to ENV, and it's got to be related to what you learn in ENV. So make sure you think about the way the topics that you learned apply to your travel destination, and then you'll get permission from me to go there, and I wish you all the best at that location. And then you'll answer some questions and write a report on it. Even though this is an online class, there is still attendance that I have to submit every week. So the way I do it is, if a student fails to submit complete assignments during the week, you're considered absent. What do I mean by complete is, first, all of the questions need to be answered. And I have to be able to tell that you were actually thinking about it, not just like imagining. A student sometimes, late Tuesday, they're like, oh no, I didn't do the lab. I'm just going to go in and click a bunch of buttons, type some nonsense in, and then click submit. If it looks like you weren't checked in, by any reasonable standard while doing that assignment, I'm going to mark that as an absence. So you might not have gotten the perfect grade, but as long as you're showing that you're there and you're thinking about the questions, then of course I'm not going to mark you absent for that. Any student who doesn't participate for 2 consecutive weeks will automatically be dropped from the course. You'll receive an automatic failing grade. I do allow late assignments to occur, as I discussed earlier. Um, if you, it's dependent on when the due date was. So every time, every next 24 hours that you turn something in late, there's a 10% deduction for it. So, for example, let's say you have a weekly activity. It's due Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. You missed the due date. You get up early in the morning, Wednesday, 6 a.m., you turn it in. That's within 24 hours of being late. So that's going to be a 10% deduction right there. I am very strict with academic integrity. That's one thing that I really spend a lot of time on. So all written assignments, including exams, will be screened using plagiarism software. Will not be tolerated. Everything must be written in your own words. And you should not be Googling any answers to questions. You should be using your textbook and lecture material. I don't want to see anyone using generative AI either. I don't, not Perplexity, not Gemini, not Copilot, um, not ChatGPT, not Grok. I don't care what it is. Everything needs to come from you so that you're demonstrating that you understand the material. And if I find that it is written in a way that matches, that it's AI generated, or if it's producing information that's way beyond the scope of what a student should be presenting in the class, and I can tell, I'm going to call you out for it. So let's just not even bother using that sort of material. Trust me, every year I catch students. You don't want to be one of them. It's just not worth it. You're here to learn anyway. The first infraction will be a 0 score on the assignment, and that will be a warning that if it happens again, you will receive an F in the class due to academic dishonesty. Sometimes it's a little confusing what plagiarism is, and what it means to write something in your own words. And here's an example. So I might have a question that says, what is environmental science? Instead of a student reading the textbook, understanding what environmental science is, and presenting their own definition, maybe they just go online and Google it, and your first search result is Britannica.com. And it says environmental science, interdisciplinary academic field that draws on ecology, geology, meteorology, biology, chemistry, engineering, and physics to study environmental problems and human impacts on the environment. And so a student takes that and they just jumble around the parts of the sentence, but everything is still there, the same words, the same areas of scientific disciplines. That is still plagiarizing there. You haven't written it in your own words. You took someone else's words and you just maybe changed which clauses come first in a sentence or the order of things listed here, or maybe you used a thesaurus to change one word. That's not writing in your own words. We look for something like this instead. Earlier at the beginning of this presentation, I defined what environmental science is, and a student understood that and wrote their own definition, and this looks great. This would not count as plagiarism. If you have any questions, you can please reach out to me and see, what counts there if you're struggling with something. Now, there are some special circumstances that come up with students. You might be an athlete. You might have an accessibility accommodation. So please alert me as soon as you can. And you have to register those accommodations with the school in order for me to provide you with any accommodations. Okay. So it's I am not allowed to give accommodations unless they come from the school. So make sure you work with them and you work with them early. All right, and we're getting close to the end here, but I want to make sure we talk about tips for being successful in ENV. Number one seems kind of basic here, but don't fall behind. Just make sure that you have regular study habits here. Check your Blackboard and your CAC email regularly so that you're not missing any announcements or any tips. Stay on top of those weekly assignments. And this is a big one. Ask me for help and regularly engage with me during office hours. I'm here to try and help you be successful. I want to see all of my students be successful. And the best way that I can help you is if you come to me if you have problems, not after submitting the assignment. One of my biggest pet peeves is when students submit an assignment and there's a question and they just write, "I didn't understand it. Can you explain it?" That's no way to approach it. What you want to do is ask me before you submit the assignment. Anyway, I will digress. Here's some, let's hone in more on more specific tips here. So when you're moving from one PowerPoint to the next, or one chapter to the next, or one lecture to the next, I always recommend you review the last notes that you had on the previous lecture so that all of the past material is fresh in your mind. With environmental science, a lot of these topics are going to build on top of each other. And so if you understand the last chapter really well, it's really going to provide that foundation for the following chapter. Next is to become an active learner. So make sure you're writing down questions that you have. You're reaching out to me. There's no dumb questions. If you learn a lesson, you were successful by asking that question. And I also recommend, because it's online and I have things recorded online, go ahead and pause the lecture video and try and ask yourself questions to test your own ability to understanding the information. When we're listening to a YouTube video, sometimes we just kind of zone out and we're not actively focused there and actively learning. And you really need to pay attention to the material. All right. And then developing consistent daily studying habits. I recommend not having distractions while you're studying. Don't eat, don't play on social media, put your phone away, put it on silent. Don't have any streaming services going as well. Just focus on the material at hand with your undivided attention. And then I recommend listening to the lecture first, reading the textbook a few times. And only after then take notes. Go back and take notes on whatever isn't sticking. The reason for that is if you take notes right out the gate, you'll end up writing a whole new textbook and your hand's going to be sore and you're going to spend too much time on that instead of trying to get, the bulk of it down and then just focusing on those fine points, those little concepts that are really tough to memorize, and not being overwhelmed by everything. And then I really like note cards. You can do what you want, but I think note cards are a great way to have some studying material that you can take with you on the road and always have with you so that you can review and study before that exam. Okay, and finally, a list of to-dos. All of this stuff should be published when you go online, but I recommend you click the little caret here for the start here, and you're going to have the list of things to do. You've already landed here, the welcome and orientation video, so congratulations, you have one thing done. There's some other resources here that you can use, but you'll need to read the syllabus and schedule to orientate yourself with the class. Below that, you're going to find a folder for setting up ProctorU and different steps that you can use in order to make sure that's set up. It's your responsibility to make sure this is set up and all the kinks and bugs are worked out before exam day, not on exam day. If it's on exam day and you're late, then it's the consequences are that you might not be able to take the exam that day, and so you will either not you'll either be assigned a 0 or maybe I'll have a possibility to take it late on short notice with ProctorU, and you'll have to pay more fees, and it's just a headache. So let's go ahead and get to setting up the ProctorU on week 1 here. And you'll see at the bottom, I have the virtual office hours additional help link. You can click there. It'll take you to Calendly. You can pick a time on Monday to visit with me, and we'll go over whatever help you might need. Below the Start Here, you'll find your week 1 learning module. It will have your syllabus contract. So you'll go sign the syllabus contract. And then beneath that, there's going to be a syllabus quiz. This is worth 10 points. I recommend, therefore, that you read the syllabus and then answer the questions for the quiz. Here's our first chapter, Chapter 1. This will take you to Soft Chalk, where you can read the textbook and take those questions that are due each week. I provide a study guide to help you prepare for the exam, so you can use the study guide at your discretion. This first week, like I said, there's going to be an exam due on Friday. So here's the week 1, or sorry, there's going to be a discussion board due on Friday. So here's a week 1 discussion board. And the following Tuesday, again, we start working on the chapter this week. I might need to adjust these times here, but the following Tuesday, you will have your first quiz on that material. And you'll see that also under each week, not only do you have the lecture materials, but you also have the lab materials handy for you as well. And that is everything that you should know to get you started here. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'd love to get to know each and every one of you personally. Thank you so much for listening to the video, and you have a great day.